Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We are here with Shifting Focus. This is our episode number 1, numero uno. Babe, we have a lot of things to discuss on this first episode. But should we first talk about why we're doing a podcast, why we started this, what we're doing, what it's about?
Just trying to tell stories, bring individuals in to tell theirs. Since we do it with our business by helping other businesses, we want to do it on a long form podcast and have conversations and learn from people.
I think we've been inspired by so many people in our lives. So why not have a space for those people to also inspire our followers and our listeners?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
When did you shift focus?
Oh my God. I have shifted focus so many times in my life. It'd be hard to pinpoint just one area, but I think if I like the first thought that comes to my mind would be moving to California. That was the most pivotal shift I've had. And I always knew in my heart that I was supposed to be in California. I just didn't know why. I didn't know what it was supposed to be. I just was like, I got to go to California. And I'm just a small town little Southern girl from Middle Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I got to get out there. And lo and behold, I went and I met my husband and I started a business and now we live in Florida.
That's right. And I guess a major shift in focus for you was when we actually got together and decided to start producing video content and marketing content for companies. Because you went from, I'm a Disney actress to, oh, there's other roles I can play here. Like you did producing and you started talking to the businesses and you were able to land us jobs. And then you fell in love with the production side. So
right, yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, I think so. My childhood dream was to obviously be in the film industry. I always thought it would be the route of acting. And I still get to do that a lot with our company, through voiceovers or helping businesses, being in front of the camera, being the spokesperson for them. I know. I'm sorry. I got to learn. I'm Italian. So I
talk with the outside.
Okay. I'll use this one instead. So what I found is an actor friend of ours, Nate Golan, had asked us to produce his web series. And I just was like, I'm not going to produce. I want to be in front of the camera. That's what I'm here to do. And he's like, just do it. It's going to be fun. You can learn. Just help me out. I know you're going to be great. And I did it and I fell in love with it. Mm-hmm. I was like, wow, this, I get control over the project. And when people would say no in auditions, that was the end of it. You couldn't talk yourself into the audition if you just weren't the right person for the role. Whereas in producing, if someone says no, the door is still cracked and I could get in there and somehow turn it into a yes. And what that looks like would be working with maybe like a scouting a location. And if someone's like, yeah, we just can't, you don't have the budget.
Well, let's talk about that because we worked together with Nate Golan on My Synthesized Life, mm-hmm. available on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And you went into a local dive bar, right? And you were able to talk the owner into why he needs us to film there. So
I don't think you should tell the story. I don't really remember
I wasn't there. I just remember you went in there and the guy was like in a wheelchair. I think Nate said, they're not going to have it. And you're like, give me a minute with him. And you walked in there and you essentially pitched him the idea of, look, it's Tuesday afternoon. It's your slowest time. Imagine having 40 actors in here. Once we're done in an hour, everybody here is going to buy drinks. We're going to turn this into a busy time for you. And you got a free happy hour on your hands. And then sure enough, he walked out and he's like, walked out. He rolled out and was like, you got yourself a deal. And we shouted him out. We gave him a little credit. But yeah, it was fun. And
it was great. And he ended up being he was in the show. Yeah. His storefront got a shout out. That was one of the agreements. And so I think if you can spin it in a way to where it benefits the business, and I think a lot of people forget that. We make it about ourselves when we go in and we're like, well, I need this. I need this. This is going to help me. This is going to this is going to fix a problem I have. When we have to shift the focus, see what I did there? And you have to say, how are you going to solve that business owner's problem? Mm-hmm. So for instance, like you were just mentioning, it was a slow time. They didn't have any customers. He was guaranteed 40 plus tabs open. We were going to give him X amount of dollars. We were going to give him brand awareness. So I took it away from how can he fix my problem to how can I fix his problem? Mm-hmm. And that's how I got a yes.
Yep. And that was great for the marketing portion. Now let's talk about your negotiation skills, because you did the same thing for a guy that doesn't need a storefront, any recognition for his brand, where they shot Inception in the warehouse. We wanted to go film there, and their daily budget was what? Like you have to spend $4 or $5 grand just to use it for a couple hours. Mm-hmm. And then how'd you spend that? Because we went in there and filmed.
Well, we were doing a Don Diablo and Alex Clare music video. and we had a team coming over from England. It was a European team, and their budget wasn't what we have in the States. So we had, I think, $200 to get this location, but they wanted a warehouse. And I thought, oh my God, how are we going to do this? So we went downtown LA, and I spoke with the guy, didn't know anything about the location, that's where they had shot Inception and all these big movies. And he was like, yeah, it's going to cost you $5,000. So I spinned it and said, well, we're a student project. Because I mean, really at the time we were all kind of learning. It sort of was a student project. And I asked him what the budget would be for that. And he was like, well, the lowest I can do is 1,000. And I was like, oof, we just don't have it. And I said, well, what if we didn't use the lights? What if we, okay, no, because he had told us the most expensive part is running the air conditioner and running the lights. Like the electricity of this warehouse is what cost him most of the money. And I talked to our team, and I was like, well, we don't really need lights. We want this to be it was a moody scene for
grungy.
a warehouse. We wanted the warehouse feel. And so I went back and I said, what if we didn't turn the lights on? What if we didn't have the AC on or the fans running? Could we possibly do that? And what if we fed you and your team, because we're going to have craft services? What if you guys were able to come down and eat lunch with us and have these big A-list, musicians in your facility? Would that be something you'd be interested in? And he was like, yeah, that would be good. Let's do that. And so it was amazing. And you want to find something that you can relate with the people too. So, and you want to figure out what their fears are and why they're saying no and turn it into a yes. It's a craft, I guess. I've just learned to.
Yep. And I remember that day showing up on set, and there was literally a bunch of random people like eating snacks. And I was like, who are they? Are they part of the production with us? And you're like, no, that's the owner of the building and like a couple people that work around here.
Yeah.
So it worked. You were like, we'll feed you.
Yeah. And he also said, like, we don't need to be babysat. Because I think at the time he needed to have certain people there to
police officer.
Yeah.
In the corner.
And certain areas of the warehouse were blocked off. Like those were his big sets. And I told him, we don't even need to be in those. We're only going to take 3 spaces of your warehouse. We're not in the entire warehouse. So I think just understanding their perspective and understanding what it is that you need from them, and then just communicating that, we won't touch the rest of the warehouse.
And then going forward, you went into the corporate world after that.
Yeah, that's where it got a little sticky. I think I had an opportunity to be the main producer on a Comedy Central show. They brought me in. We had pitched it. They were like, we want to hire you. It was amazing. Great project. I got to see my cubicle. I met the entire team. So when I went in the next day, I got a call from the team and they were like, hey, we're so sorry. We actually need to call and let you know that the project lost the funding. So that was the point. And I was like, well, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Like, this is something that I really wanted. And it was a really good opportunity and the project was awesome. And I loved the team we were working with. So I thought, okay, this is going to be weird. And then that same day, I also got a call from Santa Monica Seafood, a big seafood.
Bob Vogel?
Yeah, Bob Vogel called. And he was like, hey, I know you don't work with us anymore. At the time, I was a server, which is where I met you in the restaurant side. He was like, we need some help with videos. Would you be interested in coming to the corporate level part-time and helping out the retail stores? Because they were our second client when we first started our company. We pitched to them, like, you guys need video work. And I went to you, I'm pretty sure. I was like, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go to the seafood world again. But they had spun it in a way to where, again, know your audience's problem. They knew that I love doing video content and they were like, you can help us on a bigger scale.
If you came to the office, you can do videos all day long.
And I get to be in the retail stores. It wouldn't be such a corporate. It was just a part-time. I was assisting our director of marketing at the time.
I think the agreement at first was only 3 days per week you're needed in the office. The other 2
days
you can
in the office.
Go to the retail stores. You go film stuff. Like you kind of created that influencer vibe of like how to just go in and get content for them.
It was very casual. I mean, they pitched it as like, it's the simple thing. We only need a couple videos, like make some influencer style, be in the stores, help us promote. I was like, cool, I can do that. Well, I think the 3rd day I was in the office training, our director of marketing quit.
Yeah.
And I'm a fixer in nature. It's what I do. So I ended up being the interim director of marketing until they filled the position. And those couple little videos here and there turned into, I think, 162 videos within the first 9 months, and working with Albertsons and Vons and Ralph's and all the grocery stores in LA. And I thought,
Awesome learning experience.
amazing. And it was great training for their teams. And, it was, but at one point I looked and I said, wait a second, the picture I was painted that my job role was going to be and what I've taken on, it's off balance. Something's got to shift here. So I got stuck in the corporate world.
But do you blame like that company
No.
for you taking on too much? Or do you think that you've learned over the years that you have a problem of saying yes because you like helping? And then by the time you're dug in this giant hole with all of these jobs, you realize you're overwhelmed. And then you look to kind of blame, like, I can't believe I agreed on this and it's more. Or do you think that you kind of did it to yourself?
At first, my first instinct is, this isn't what I was promised. This isn't it. And I start going like this, when in fact I need to be going like this. And it's been a pattern that's come up for me a lot in many positions in my life. And I'm learning, when I start to feel that overwhelming feeling like, okay, I don't have anything else to give, I am at max capacity, I have to go within and say, this is me. I'm taking this on. I'm trying to fix their problems. And I can't do that. It's not my job to fix everybody's problems. It's my job to do my job. I just take on too much. So to answer your question, it's my fault in simple form.
Well, that's saying a lot. But how do you stop yourself from taking on so much every time, but also being flexible? Like, where do you learn the balance in life to where like, yeah, I can do that. I'll help you. But also don't assume that this is gonna be my job afterwards.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know the answer to that because I'm still learning. I'm still in school on that, because I think when I get to a point where I feel I've learned the lesson, here it comes again. I'm back on the merry-go-round. I just went through it again. And I think at this point, and not to like fast forward so much, but I realized, okay, I've got to stop this, because I can only take on somebody's business if it's our own. And so that's where I was like, I've got to stop working for other people and take all of that attention and all of that energy and put it inward towards our company, where I can control it, where I can only blame myself, where, like, why am I trying to fix other people's businesses? I've been doing that my whole life. I need to fix our business. We promote, we do storytelling, we do social media. Our social media was not being consistent. We weren't really telling people, still didn't know what you and I did. And we've been doing this for 13 years. So just kind of educating and turning the pointing in was the best lesson, I think.
It's big.
It is. Still learning. What about you? When's your shift? We've been talking about me this whole time. You were waiting tables.
Was waiting tables.
And we were working out at Gold's Gym, the Mecca in Venice. And talk about that shift a little bit more.
I just think that I was filming almost 5 days, if not more, per week at Gold's Gym. Because, we had Justin Lovato, we had Brad Rowe, Stephanie. We ended up shooting a bunch of different people. And then Shad Gaspard, a good friend, rest in peace, amazing guy. He introduced me to Steve Cook, Michelle Martinick, a bunch of different people. And then while filming for Michelle, she's like, we would finish filming at like 3 p.m. We'd film all day, and I would always go back to waiting tables or bartending that night. And I think one day on one of those shoots, she's like, why are you going back to there? She's like, you're living two different lives where you're like freelance, and then you're going back to the structure of like waiting tables. And like I said before, the fear of just not having that guaranteed income, when it was guaranteed, I was doing it every week. But there's something that makes us feel safe and comfortable in like the contract of working for like a corporation of some sort, or like clocking in for some reason. You're like, oh, I'm guaranteed that paycheck. It comes, even though they tax the shit out of you and you lose a bunch of money and you get in trouble for all types of stupid reasons and you have to be on someone else's clock. But I'm just like,
I was always in trouble.
You were in trouble. Either way, Michelle essentially just was put that seed in my head. And then after talking to you a few times, I was like, fuck it. I'm out.
What do you think was holding you back from shifting in the first place, besides the opportunity to have consistent income?
Just the guarantee of the money, which wasn't a lot of money. It's interesting because the guarantee of like, what was it, $200 to $300 per shift felt more secure than possibly going out and getting thousands of dollars of deals. Because one, I have to pitch and market myself, and the other one, I just have to walk in and say, "Hi, welcome to the restaurant. How can I stir you out some water? Thank you." Like,
So when you shifted, what shifted in your mind when you were like, okay, I quit my job. Now I'm going to be doing this. What happened?
I just had to put all my eggs in one basket, and I was like, I'm going to go to Gold's every day. I'm going to talk to people. I'm going to tell them like, hey, if you're looking for video work or whatever it may be, I think that once your attention all goes to something, then all the energy flows there, and the law of attraction is real. And, started getting calls from people like Chris Minnis, who I didn't even know at the time, who puts on the biggest, bodybuilding events other than Olympia, which now, is debatable considering he's got these cool, like Mother Lode and Legion shows. But yeah, I think once that started, people like Shad, like I was saying, just started spreading the word, and he would come to me with clients. He's like, yo, I got this guy.
Why
Christian
do you think?
at egg weights. Like, I'm like, cool. And then sure enough, now you look, egg weights is everywhere. So we're lucky to like work with certain people like that.
Why do you think he started coming to you? Why do you think doors started opening?
Because he knew the availability was there, maybe.
Do you think that something shifts when we're comfortable? Like being uncomfortable makes us have to do something because now you don't have a choice.
100%.
Those bills are going to continue to come. And instead of being comfortable with this, like you said, $200 to $300 a shift and dealing with all the stuff that goes with that, to now you're back to square one. Where you're like, okay, I've got to make money.
Yeah, guaranteed that's real because your back's against the wall. Like you said, the bills are still coming. Are you going to let them pile up, or are you going to take care of them one at a time? Are you going to, go after it? If you go run and hide and come back, that pile of bills is still going to be there. It's probably going to be bigger. So if your back's against the wall and your only option is to succeed, why would you not try?
Right. Well, why do some people not try? I mean, but maybe that's what sets you apart from other people. But what advice could you give to someone whose back's against the wall and they're scared to make that leap of faith?
Progress is your way to happiness, because I feel like as you're getting things done, you feel better. If you have a to-do list, how good does it feel to look back at it and be like, I just knocked all 10 things off that? If you let that to-do list pile up, you're going to just get overwhelmed, struggle all day. I just think writing things down, ticking them off the box, making progress, you'll be all right.
Yeah, I think you brought up a really good point. Sometimes when people think about those times in their lives where it can be so overwhelming to cross over that mountain, to take that leap, to do all of those things. It's overwhelming, and people will talk themselves out of it. Whereas opposed to just doing one thing at a time. They say you want to start a business. I mean, go buy a business before you start one, right, nowadays. But say you wanted to do something different, or you're looking for a new avenue in your life. You can get to the end result and be like, oh my gosh, it's going to take so much work to get there. Well, don't think about that. Mm-hmm. Just start with one step a day. What do I need to do today? Okay, I need to get an LLC and S Corp. I need to get a tax ID number. I need to open a bank account. I need to maybe start finding some customers. You don't have to have the product right then. Just start creating a buzz. So there's so many things that you can do, and we're always there to help businesses get started or to help them map those things out, which is what I think really sets us apart from a lot of other cinematographers and video production content creators.
Yep. I think that everything starts at the finish line. Like you're saying about starting a business. Mm-hmm. If I'm trying to drive to the grocery store and I don't know my way around the area, I don't drive and then pick up each street as I go. I type in the final destination first, right? And then the route tells me how to get there. Mm-hmm. Everything starts at the end.
Yeah.
You got to work backwards to figure out how to get there.
Mm-hmm. And it can be overwhelming. So just one thing at a time. Mm-hmm. That's advice. And just if you have that feeling like this is what I'm supposed to do, when you get that gut-wrenching feeling, just do it. Don't think. I think oftentimes we think and we talk ourselves out of it. And we miss out on opportunities. And that's why we go to our graves and we're like, wow, I coulda, woulda, shoulda. Mm-hmm. Don't be the coulda, woulda, shoulda person. Live every day to the fullest in this moment and tackle that shit. Go get it.
That's right.
Okay.
So you were talking about taking a leap of faith.
Mm-hmm. Which
that
part?
Could lead us back to a leap of faith.
Yeah.
So a major shift, like I was saying before, was going from products, companies, services, just filming, promoting fitness to a documentary.
How'd we get there?
Well, the creator of Bigger, Stronger, Faster, director Chris Bell reached out to me personally a couple times, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, I've seen his films. They're awesome. And then I said yes to being second camera and assistant editor.
Well, not even yet. He had called you to be a second shooter on a couple projects where they needed another camera operator, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you were just doing bits and parts of the documentary at the time.
So they're like, hey, if you're available this day, will you fly here and shoot for us? I'm like, yeah, for sure. Let's do it. That's how I learned to kind of use cinema cameras just on the fly. Shout out YouTube University on everything. But through that, I think one of our first trips with the film crew was out to Vegas, which we didn't know at the time was an interview to film the executive producer. Shout out Kelly Dunn. And Kelly was like, I remember meeting him for the first time.
Well, he shows up in these wolf howling at the moon t-shirts in Vegas, and you're like, who is this guy? This is just some normal off the streets cool individual. Lo and behold, what'd you learn later?
He was the guy. Multi-million-dollar business, number one in the kratom industry, still leading the industry to this day.
An advocate.
First advocacy groups all started by Kelly Dunn, third party tested, everything compliant to like the top tier of anything when it comes to supplements. He made such an impact by creating this movie with us and, executive producer, creator, essentially, and everything that was pushed forward. We were I've been in multiple produce shops, and my parents even tell me about it. They're like, do you know the movie A Leaf of Faith? And the lady pulls out a DVD from behind the counter and goes, I've got 2 of them right here. She's like, I love it. Like, I want to meet everybody involved. So it's made such an impact on people's lives. I definitely think everyone should go out and watch it. So that was our first major film that we were like a big part of. Mm-hmm. You ended up coming on and producing. I ended up finishing as like main editor, edited the whole thing, and filmed majority of it.
Yeah, you did a great job on that, by the way.
Thanks.
And it also opened up a really great relationship with Kelly, and we continue to do work with him, and just watching his business continue to evolve, and to watch him continue to change the industry for the kratom world.
Yep.
And also talk about what kratom is.
Kratom is a leaf from Southeast Asia. It grows on trees related to the caffeine plant. It changes lives. People use it over there just as an everyday tea. At a low dose, it's like a euphoric feeling, almost energy like caffeine. And then at high doses, it can replicate the feeling of a painkiller, but does not do any damage to the receptor, which is why people use it to get off of opioids. The FDA and the government here, shocking, right, are always trying to go after it, always trying to shut it down. Every death associated with kratom has been tainted. That's why Kelly Dunn and Urbanized Botanicals do third-party testing, every type of, all the research. They lead all the advocacy groups, and this is the number one brand that there is on the market.
And we have the products on the table.
Yeah, they're literally just, all this is leaves crushed up and put in the capsule so people can take them easier. That's all that is.
I think the best way I describe it to people, because sometimes there are negative things about kratom.
Annotations.
Yeah, and the best way to explain it for people who aren't aware is if you could go to South American culture and pick a cocoa leaf from
a what?
A cocoa leaf.
Okay. Not a cocoa.
A cocoa leaf from a tree, and you can mash it and make it a tea, or you can manipulate it and put a bunch of chemicals in it, and now you've got cocaine.
Yep.
So similar to like what you were just saying, you can pull a leaf from a tree in Malaysia, Indonesia, and they use it as a really wonderful natural remedy. But you get man involved and they start mixing other things with it, like fentanyl and morphine and all kinds of stuff that can be really detrimental. So it's important that you know your product, you know where it's coming from. You go to reliable sources such as Kelly and Urbanized Botanicals. And that's why his products, I think, are really great. And that's really the documentary. So if anybody wants to learn more about it, you can check out A Leaf of Faith. Mm-hmm. It's on Amazon.
It's on all streaming platforms.
Yeah. We sold it to Netflix a couple years back. So it was up there for a while. It did really, really great. Changed a lot of people's lives. So it's nice to be a part of something that is so impactful in an industry where big pharma is trying to take over and manipulate it and create these terrible stories. It's all just marketing.
And the cool thing about what Kelly and Urbanize are doing is that kratom is kind of pigeonholed in the smoke shop kind of network of things. He is branching out. He has not just kratom, just pure kratom, but he also has evening recovery with melatonin. He has morning focus with caffeine and theobromine. He has 3X for energy boosts of, turmeric and CBD. He has a bunch of different products that are breaking into the athletic world to where bodybuilders are promoting it. He's created a whole new niche for this industry, and no one else is doing that. He's leaving that seedy smoke shop world behind. He's trying to go like Whole Food stores and sports supplementation with it, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's great. He's doing a lot for the industry. Really, really excited to be a part of that with him and with you, and to see how it's changing people's lives in a positive light.
Yeah, we finished the documentary. Kelly Dunn and the crew, amazing over Urbanized Botanicals, leading the way, paving the way, making changes. So we definitely want to get back into the documentary world. Eventually, we're always thinking of ideas. But in the meantime, we've been really pushing brand awareness and recognition for businesses. You've been doing a lot of marketing, workshop style stuff down in Miami with Cardone and their team. So what led you to starting with Grant Cardone?
He had posted up an ad on, I think it was Instagram. You had pointed him out to me because he started popping up on my social media, him in a jet.
I followed him for a while just because he was a crazy dude and I knew he had money, but I never thought, hey, let's learn from him.
Yeah.
And you were like, hey, I think I'm going to do this Grant Cardone guy stuff. And I was like, what?
Yeah. Was it the first video where he was in his jet with his daughter talking about real estate?
I showed that to you, yeah.
You showed it to me. And the second you showed it to me, it was game over.
He posted that today.
Did he really?
Yeah, that's so weird. Go ahead.
That's cool. So he started popping up on my social media. Our phone started listening, and I started seeing more and more of what he was doing. And I thought, wow, this is really interesting. He was hosting, I think, a 10X boot camp. And it was, I can't remember the price, but it was definitely out of our budget at the time because we weren't even thinking about doing some training. And I think I filled out one of his forms just to get some more information. And I was like, oh, I'll get back to it later. Well, the form kept coming. He's great. He's great at what he does. 13-point marketing touches. And he sent another ad, I think the day before the event when we were in Northern California for a wedding. And he was like, hey, you can sign up for this event for $97. I was like, screw it. I'm virtual. I'll just do one day because we were busy for the other two. And I'll watch the recording of the other days later and I'll pay $100 for it. Well, $100 turned into a 16,000 accelerator program. I signed up for the entire thing. I was sold. I was like, exactly what he was saying is what we needed. It was marketing, sales, stages workshop, all these different products. So I was like, yes. We need all of these.
And I was like, you are psychotic. We're going to go broke. You ruined our lives.
Yep. I put it on a credit card and I was like, let's just pay it off later. Cause he kept talking about the poverty mindset. To me, I was like, oh, I can't afford this. Well, I learned I couldn't afford not to do it. And I was in a point in my life where I needed to step up or step aside. And I refused to step aside. So I decided to step up. And I invested in myself. I put it on a credit card and I thought I'll pay this off later. I went to an event. We met some incredible people, the first in-person event.
Talk about your experience at the first event, like going into it, what it was like.
I think my first event was a sales workshop. And we were in a classroom with a bunch of like-minded people who also had who had invested in this accelerator program. And we were able to network and they had their whole team there. And I learned from Dave Robards, who is just... he's brilliant. I connected with him right away. I had a very vulnerable experience. He brought me up on stage and did this he questioned some of the sales tactics we were doing. He walked through role playing. And what I learned is the excuses that we give are the excuses that we're giving ourselves. And so if someone comes up and they're like, I can't afford it, I can't do this, which is what we were hearing was that our price, I can't afford it. Well, what you're putting out is what you're getting back. So here I am saying, I can't afford this program. I'll pay cheap. Well, then our clients are going to reflect that back to us. They can't afford us. They want cheap. So the second we invested in ourselves, the floodgates opened. And all of a sudden, here come all of these opportunities with people wanting to invest with us. So it really resonated on an energetic level because I believe in those law of attractions really, really wholeheartedly. It was just wonderful. I mean, and plus I met Maritza, who introduced us to Michael, who now is one of our big clients in Louisiana. And the event paid for itself over and over and over. I think we booked 3 clients in that sales workshop.
So the Michael introduction, though, that was through the marketing workshop.
That was through the
because
marketing.
he
Yes.
owns a business, was kind of quiet at the time.
Yes.
And people like that are in marketing, which it's a plus when people like you are in the marketing, because you're like, I do marketing and I'm in a room full of business owners who don't understand what marketing is. That's why they're here.
Mm-hmm.
So not only are you advancing your knowledge in marketing by being there, all these potential clients are sitting in the room with you.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about that. You were starting to shake hands, being like, hi, I do this.
Oh,
like,
yeah. And being in that room, I think Maritza, maybe that's where I met Maritza.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, I have a client. She does marketing too, digital marketing, but on a level that we don't. So she has a completely different lane with like SEO and websites. And she was like, hey, I have this client who wants to bring me on for this. Would you be interested in helping him with the video? I was like, frick yeah, let's go. So Michael was one of those clients that brought us up, didn't sign a contract, didn't pay a deposit. I thought, oh, here we go. We're going to show up and we're not going to be ready. And, I'm very organized when we show up to our projects. I want to know exactly what we're filming. I don't want to waste anybody's time. And he just threw us a wrench. He's like, it'll be fine. Come on down, come on up. It'll be fine. And I realized, wow, he's a traditional Southern boy who my word is my heart. And we showed up, we shot, he wrote us a check, and then he signed up for the big package. He was like, I see the value in what you and David are doing, and I want to invest in the big package with you.
But then also in that we were able to go to GrowthCon in Las Vegas. And in GrowthCon, we watched Megyn Kelly, Tom Brady, Mark Wahlberg, Dana White, like all these amazing from entrepreneurs to billionaires hanging out, chat with Grant, us learning stories. And then we also watched a reality TV show where a bunch of people came on stage. It was like America's Got Talent almost.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
And it was really neat. So people talking.
Oh, yeah, the stages. So they had four contestants come up. I guess they had weaned them out of 150,000 contestants. So they brought them up on stage and they had, it was supposed to have a 2-minute pitch plan, but I think Grant and them gave them 1 minute, right? Didn't they say, we're going to change it up. You have 1 minute. So they shifted. And these 4 people competed with their signature talk, like their 2-minute pitch, against each other in front of 25,000 people.
Yeah. So we watched the top 4. And like you said, it was like 150,000. It's like American Idol. They do it all year long and they drop it onto that. But that leads me next to the fact that we have on your package, was it called? Stages, where you just learn how to talk like that. So you went there this past week just thinking, we're starting a podcast. We're pitching our business all the time. I want to learn just our pitch, how to talk. So tell me about what happened out there.
So I went to this event to learn how to do our pitch, to speak on podcasts, and little did I know it was going to turn into something much bigger. I showed up to Stages. I had a hard time getting there, talked myself out of going every step of the way. And they had us actually perform our pitch after learning this specific technique. They split us off into 10 groups of 10 people. So it was about 100 people. And we had to give our pitch to each other and then vote on who thought was the best. Well, I was shocked when my group selected me as the best person out of our group because they were really great speakers in there. And then those 10 people had to compete in front of the room for the number 1 spot. They announced it on day 2. And when they called my name, I was shocked. I was like, no way. There's no way. But I guess, I don't know. I guess there was just some good energy flowing in that room at the time. And they had mentioned that the winner gets a golden ticket to go to Grant's Great American Speak Off. And if you don't know what this is an event that he's doing on his television station. It's GCTV. It's like American Idol for people who do stages and who want to present to like big groups of people and to do their spiels and empower and inspire other people. So I bypassed the 150,000 auditionees in the 5 cities and I'm going straight to semifinals. And now I'm going to be competing with the top 150 people for 4 spots. There's only 4 spots that he hosted his GrowthCon. And my goal now is to go and dominate it and to take it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Round of applause.
Thank you.
Round of applause.
Thank you. Very shocked, very excited. And yeah, it'll be fun. Mm-hmm. So what I thought was going to be just a simple workshop to help us with our podcast landed me an opportunity to be on one of the largest stages in the world. This is a great way to get our brand message out there quicker. Same with podcast. And I'm really excited for the direction that we're going this year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Tell me more. What's the golden ticket going to bring to you and our business?
Well, first of all, it's going to get me on the stage in front of Grant Elena, Pete Vargas, who I just spent a couple of days with in Miami, and I believe it was Stormy. I don't know if she's going to be the judge again, but I'm in the room doing something, being heard by some of my mentors and top people that I respect and really appreciate in the industry. Also, we're in front of an audience of like-minded people. We're in front of businesses,
Was
people
it like
who are trying to scale.
5,000 people last year?
I think his first year was 25,000. Last year, I can't remember his number.
Last year was a little under 5.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Either way.
But when I win, we're going to get a 1-year contract to do, we're touring for like stages touring around the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really looking forward to that. And I feel really good about it. Like I have this gut bubble right now. I'm like, "Ooh." But the interesting part out of the whole thing was I wasn't prepared. I didn't have time to work on it. And that's really uncomfortable for me because I'm a type A personality. And I'm always prepared before I step on stage. I think from my acting background, I have all that, my lines are memorized. I know when I'm taking a breath, when I'm making a beat. And I was really out of control. So I did not think I won because in my mind, I was like, that was garbage.
Do you think that is a key to succeed going forward?
Yeah.
Or do you think it's a balance because practice and being prepared, but also not expecting it, your mind was clear enough to not worry? Because when I played sports, one of my main quotes I always lived by, did all the preparation, practice, the big game's happening, you got the shot. You know what to do because you did the preparation, but in the moment, clear your mind and your game will follow. That's the quote. So same thing with you. If you're prepared, but you're in your head about what to say, it's not going to flow. Your mind was clear because you're like, I don't even care. I don't even know what the end looks like. And it just happened. You didn't know there was a golden ticket there. But you got it because your mind was clear. And you're like, I mean, whatever, I'll talk. But if they're like, you're going to compete and win, you might have been like, oh, God,
Yeah.
I'm going to stress about this.
When my group announced that I won, and like when they announced that I was the winner out of my group, I got this urge in my gut was like, I'm going to win this whole thing. I'm going to win it. And I started thinking about it. I started manifesting it. And I thought, like the gut thing was just so intense, like that nervous pinching in my stomach where
Butterflies.
yeah, but it was a different thing. It wasn't nerve butterflies. It was an excitement. Like I got this. So when I competed, there were a couple people obviously who I thought did much better than I did. And when their names weren't up there, I was like, I know it. It's mine.
Well, you called me after the first day and you're like, we did this talk unexpectedly and I'm in the top 10. This is so crazy. And you're like, and you told me what would happen potentially if you just got in the top 2 or the number 1 spot. And I was like, oh, that'd be crazy. Next day, end of the day, I just saw, you sent me a text and it said image attached and I clicked it and it's you holding or you with the ticket and you just said, holy shit or something.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's
cool.
crazy. Yeah. But one of the guys in the room even said, I was like, what am I going to do? What do I do? He said, well, don't look at this as winning the whole thing. Look at it as the brand awareness that you're going to get, the attention that your brand and your business are going to get. Chase that. Don't chase winning. You're already a winner because you're on stage and you're already getting the attention. Chase the attention. And I was like, oh, it's brilliant. Brilliant. He's like, you can't be disappointed because you're already a winner. But of course I heard it. And then I was also like, yes, and I'm also going to win it.
Yeah, that's right.
Cool story.
You're
Let's
like,
go.
thanks. I don't like participation trophies.
Pretty much. I actually looked at my goals. Do you write down your goals every year?
Of course, you make me.
I do. You're right. I don't know why I asked. So we set up in manifestations and goals at both the first of every year. And we try to plan out the calendar year to see what we can achieve. And I actually looked at the goals on the plane ride home and I've checked out half of them already. Well, which makes sense because we're at half the year almost, but
It's December 31st. I've actually knocked off 6 out of 12.
I know, but we're close. Anyway, tell me about you.
I want to end this podcast by having you talk about what businesses should look for when doing marketing or video or hiring a company to do it for them. What should be those first steps?
This is a great question. And I don't want to start it with a negative, but I'm going to, because I think there are a lot of marketing people out there who put a bad taste in businesses' minds, all of it, where they're like, I've worked with a marketing person and it was terrible.
I've heard that a lot.
I know. And I hate that because there are some really great things in the marketing world. One thing, look at the business's portfolio. Look at the testimonials, call up some of their past clients. How was it working with them? Did they deliver? Were they on time? Did they do what they said they were going to do? Those are really important things. Did you like the product? Did they listen to your problems? Did they help you execute? Those are just a few simple basics. But then also make sure you guys are on the same page. Make sure you're being heard. Try not to think about the budget, because marketing is one of those things you have to pay to play. And it's important that you trust the people that you're working with and that you know that you all set the same goal. For us, it's a little different because we do content creation. We're not really into like the website and SEO side, but you need content creation to be on a website. You need content creation to tackle social media platforms. You need content creation for. There's so many things, as opposed to just using stock photos. If you're going to invest in yourself and you're going to have a storytelling experience, hire people who are professional storytellers. What about you? What would be your advice?
Don't be fooled by reels. And everybody wants to see reels in portfolio. Highlight reels look badass. We're having trouble having people help us with editing because not everyone can tell a story. So just because there's a highlight of a fish in a highlight reel, go find the actual company video on that fish or fishing or fillets or whatever it is, and see how that was put together, because that's where the real magic's made. How are these storytelling videos created, not just the highlight reel?
Yeah, it's good advice.
Yeah.
Because anybody can take the best shots of something and turn it into a reel.
Exactly.
But what happens to the other content? Do you like that?
Yeah. So
what's next?
Nothing's next. The battery's about to die on that camera, as I could see.
No, what's next? Oh yeah, you're right. It's about to go.
All right.
Oh, this one too. All
Cool.
right. Stay tuned. So, episode 2.
Yeah. So get ready to shift your focus and discover the power of change on the journey with us.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's Shifting Focus. We look forward to bringing on hosts and to hearing more about what you guys want to hear on how to shift your focus.